It's live.
Cool.
And I'm going to go ahead and post this onto the good old Book of Faces. Live. Come join us.
Live. It says live.
Live. It's like, oh, there you go. I'm going to say there's like this random Asian chick on here as the thumbnail for Google Hangouts. It's funny. Oh, I don't want to give people the direct link. Not yet. They have to be like pre-screen and shit. Or whatever. Let's see. How do I do that? I have to go to my links. Technology. I get back to it like that last show. I'm constantly frustrated with technology.
You know what I was thinking would be cool for one of the shows? Maybe a little segment.
What's that?
It's a little random Jeopardy round.
I want to. Yeah, I totally want to do that.
It's like a mini game show within your show.
I've been trying to. Oh, I didn't mean for that to post, but it worked. It posted. Are you kidding me? Hold on a second. This is ridiculous. Again, technology fails us. But yeah, I was talking to Lamar. I think you know who Lamar is. He's posted on here, on the actual post we had before. So, and he does like a trivia, King trivia stuff, like pub trivia. And so I've been trying to like figure out how organizing some kind of like online trivia that uses something like this. I mean, you can get 9 people in here. I don't know. It gets kind of crazy the more people you get involved.
Yeah, it gets kind of laggy at that point.
Yeah, it's just a lot to manage. You gotta have a moderator or something.
Sorry, you're in the dark for a second.
Oh man.
I'm in the dark for a second.
You were wearing brand new boots? Come on. I need a drink.
So anyway, Matt, we're live,
Yes.
so we gotta be entertaining and stuff.
Oh, we should invite some people from GLP on here because they'll be insane.
that might be fun at some point. I'll PM you the join link. So
I don't know how to be entertaining, by the way.
well, be entertaining. You've posted a few different things. I swear you're a closet Bernie supporter. I think you like the idea, and it's hard to hate. It's hard to hate at least getting something from society, and without needing all of it, I guess. But I think the socialism thing is blown out of proportion in general. I think people are fearful of it, and
Well, one argument I hear in support of socialism that I don't really agree with is that we're essentially already kind of socialist because we have social programs, police, fire department and stuff.
right.
I mean, any nation requires that, unless you're a third
I guess
world
that's the
nation.
point. I mean, the point is that you're able to.
It's
I mean,
just like
democracy didn't just start. Like they had to go through. They had to test a few things before it actually became something that could be developed out. So I think everything to the extreme is, yeah, sure. There's probably going to be a crossroads where you're like, okay, and I don't know, doing that whole slippery slope argument. just what is it? Giving up the good for the great kind of thing, where it's like it's not perfect, so we'll just stick with the broken thing we've got now. And
Well, I'm not for that at all.
what do you mean?
As sticking with the broken thing we have now.
Yeah, that was a question that came up. I was thinking about this the other day. Is like what as far as the system being broken, or I mean, like to take your fervor that you post with, and obviously poking the fire, so to speak. So,
Mhm.
I mean, at what point? It's always like, okay, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. So what? This is gonna happen. So what happened? Like, where is it over? Where is it like, okay, well, enough didn't happen. At what point is it like is the battle won? I guess you can say, or at what
You know,
point is it?
I actually had the same question for you. Like, at what point is... I'll try to address it on my end, but I have the same question for you. Um, so when is it done? Um, Honestly, I think a lot of the problems we have in the U.S. right now are due to us not enforcing the laws on the books as they exist already. And so if they just enforce the laws and respect the hierarchy of law, where Constitution is the highest, everything else is, is subject to the Constitution. If it's not constitutional, then it's not a law. But then, you enforce down from federal level to state level to local level. If it was just properly enforced along the hierarchy, I think a lot of the problems would just go away. And for me, ultimately, what I would want is just more freedom. And
Wait, what
to,
freedom? What freedom do you not have right now? Like, what is? How has your freedom changed? That that you're obstructed from pursuing your
well,
happiness.
no police officer like follows me around and does, just stalks me and watches what I do to try to find what I'm doing wrong. But
Hey, we got a viewer,
what?
or at least I saw someone come in and out.
Oh, yeah. um,
I
but
wish this
what
thing had a freaking
freedoms am I
camera.
lacking? I'm paying way more in taxes than I ever should, and a lot of it is to programs that aren't constitutional.
Well,
We're all supposed to have apportioned and non-apportioned taxes, and
is it that
there's
they're
different.
non-constitutional, or is that it's like I mean, there's it's like there's like always a battle of like, okay, so it's not constitutional, so I guess it's still law. It's like things that you can challenge. It's like, okay, Hillary. I'll use Hillary as the example to kind of like shift this all around. It's like she's guilty, she's guilty, she's guilty. Well, we have a court of law that was created, through the Constitution. This court of law was created so that everyone got a fair trial. And it seems that it's the court of not even just court of public opinion, but court of uh, a confirmation bias. It's like, well, okay, well, it must be true, kind of thing. And we see that a lot when people repost various memes. And
Yeah.
um, at
Well,
what point is it really about the Constitution, or is it about your personal preference? I think that's that kind of my point. Is like the Constitution was put together, they had all these personal preferences then, and they put it together, and we got this country. And I know I'm massively trivializing like the birth of the nation, but I mean people got together, they had some really good ideas, they had a lot of really bad ideas, and that over time, it kind of grows. So to answer the question is like, when is it over? I think that's the point. The idea of focusing on the over part. Like, why?
I don't think the
I'm doing
fight.
my thing. I'm not, as far as the taxes go, yeah, we're paying way more taxes than we should be for programs that we don't support. However, we pay a lot less of that than people up there, kind of thing. And I think that the idea of socialism is to not extremely take over. I don't like the total takeover of private business, so to speak. I'm not. That's too far.
Well,
I think they
like, I don't.
already are obstructing like private businesses just in the way that I have to hire people. Like it's just so it's ridiculous the hoops you have to run through to get people to work for you.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, okay, so if we had the right, the ability to enter into contracts with each other without the government's approval for every stupid contract, if you can hire a guy for $2 an hour instead of 8 because his work is worth $2 an hour, I think you should be able to do that. We should be able to enter into any contracts we want with each other. So that's another thing. We would have to be able to enter into contracts that we define where there are only certain limitations, like, you can't sell yourself into slavery. You can't do, you can't sell your child or something, in a contract. Like, there's rules.
And then therein lies that whole point is that, okay, you adjust as time goes on. You stop owning people. You stop allowing some people to vote and other ones to not. Some people to drink out of a fountain, others to not.
Yeah.
There is progression that happens out of that, and I think that's the point. Like we exist for the things that we will do, and
okay,
doing it because there's some sort of end to it. It's just not. That's not the way I walk through life. I
don't think there's an end either. I think that there's a constant fight, and there will be constant progression. Like, I think I'm a progressive, but I think in a very limited way I'm progressive. I just want to proceed with ideas that I don't know that I favor.
How are you progressive? Like, in what ways would you be progressive? I would
allow improvements to our laws based on new information or new changes in dynamics. And that is what's happening now, but it's proceeding without any legality. What they need to do, like if they're going to change something that we do, like okay, if they want to make free speech zones, you have to amend the Constitution. Like, you have to respect the hierarchy of law. And so I'm not saying that's a progressive policy at all. It's not. But any new policy that might not be constitutional, or like the new way they want to tax us, like Bernie Sanders' way he wants to tax us, that and the current system does not follow under the two types of taxes that are allowed, which are apportioned and non-apportioned taxes. It doesn't follow either of those rules. And so if I don't know, I'm okay with progression. I'm okay with change. Like, I'm cool with them changing the tax, how we're taxed and stuff, but they have to do it the legal way. Otherwise, they really don't have legal legitimacy, which is what I really personally fear the most. But I guess most people don't really care about strict legality, but I think it's really important. As a programmer, I see how important, like, systems and following the design, how that's important, And we have a design, we have a structure, and yeah, it's hard to, like, amend the Constitution, but we can change the Constitution to change that and make it easier to make amendments with an amendment, Yeah. Like, there's ways we could do things that and change the country drastically if we want, but we have to do it the legal way, or else, I mean, it is the law of the land, the Constitution. And so if anybody says that, if anybody says that they could just bypass the Constitution and create new laws, any citizen out there can refuse it and be morally and legally correct. The courts might not say that they're morally or legally correct, but they are. I mean, it's the highest law of the land. If the Constitution is being violated with a new law, you don't have to follow that law.
Well, I think that maybe that might be where we differ. Where, it's like when you watch these videos of like police brutality, and there's always that argument of like, well, then stop resisting. Well, it's like, okay, so if it's some unlawful arrest, and so you're not doing anything illegal, they're arresting you, and when you resist, it's apparently a crime to like stand up for yourself. And so I mean, I think that's kind of what we're talking about. And
you could be arrested for basically saying, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right. And even now, they started, there's some, I mean, this is months ago that I heard this, I don't know, it was talk radio or something, and they were talking about how you can actually, when you don't speak, it actually ends up being incriminating in some ways, where they infer that your silence means the affirmative or the negative or whatever. And
right. All behaviors are suspect now.
Yeah.
Like if he just decides, guy was wearing khakis, that's suspicious to me.
We're getting comments where we have our beautiful friends, our frenemies. John wants to know if when we say some people, do we mean Mexicans? Because that's what he's hearing. What do you say about that, Matt?
I don't even know what that is referencing.
I don't know. I was reading that too. I was like, when did we say some people?
I don't know.
It must be a mistake. Did somebody say steak? Garrett Bridges says this looks like the before footage they show on those crime shows. And our wonderful friend John once again says it's just scared straight.
Well,
scared straight out of being on a live video feed. Nobody wants to be on it.
Here's that.
Only people who do want to be on it. Look at us, we're at a record 2 viewers. It's amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. Yeah, I think that to get back to the full circle, as far as finding the ends, like where is the end? I think growing up, I was really into the conspiracy thing, and it's like, oh, it's all controlled, man. And I kind of now am more of just like controlled or not, whatever, without being like a total apathetic person. But like on the spiritual level, it's not even a starter for me. I just don't care. When someone says that like this is truly from the devil, I just okay. I don't even have a no, it's not. I don't have a rebuttal. I don't I just don't, whether or not there is the devil, so to speak, that's influencing the actions of humanity. It's not affecting my life in a noticeable way, and so until it does, I guess I don't have to do anything. I just keep doing what I'm doing. I go to work. I work and I move on, and I get older, and
something to be said for planning for the future. Like that. Like one of the big reasons that I'm a conspiracy theorist, well, other than it makes sense to me, much of it, not all of it, not like the world is ruled by reptilians, but
I think you're on your way, though. I think you're on your way.
I might be there soon.
At some point. You're really into the movie V, or the miniseries, and we're just going to be that. We're going to be that afraid. It sounds stressful.
I see myself as a watchman, though, and the reason I see myself as a watchman is to let people know what's going to happen before it happens, so they can prepare. I don't know why I feel like I should be doing that, but I do. I feel like.
Prepare for what? At
future.
At 90,
what's going to happen?
I'm still going to be like, oh man, like we're all screwed. So you're saying be prepared for every the best possible outcome across the board, or the worst possible. Like always be over prepared because shit could hit the fan, man.
More get ready for the bad stuff, yeah.
So do you feel that maybe you might convince yourself that there are bad things coming, and the preparation for those things that are finite, where it's like there's like a special date. We had the blood moon or something, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Maybe back in 3,000 years ago, that might have been something that people gave credence to. It doesn't.
Well,
In
it's seeing
fact, for
any.
me, that like further pushes me back because I'm kind of like, okay, we don't even know what gravity is right now.
Right.
So I can only imagine what people made up and created for themselves thousands of years ago, and even saying just thousands of years ago that's a long time. That's a lot of
Well,
me's.
yeah, I mean, I'm not with conspiracy theories. I'm not really poking in the dark. I'm just kind of looking at things that are already in motion and telling people, like, hey, there's a train coming right at you. Um, Good example, not conspiracy. Well, kind of related, but like the Trans-Pacific Partnership Bill or whatever. We saw that in motion, and we had plenty of time to warn people and get them to call their congressman and senator and stuff and do what they could. And if you look at it more, maybe you know how to adjust your company correctly. It's just making people aware of things that are already in motion. And as a conspiracy theorist, a lot of times you're telling people about things that are in motion that they wouldn't hear about from their normal media sources. And these are things that can really affect them. The Trans-Pacific Partnership thing can really affect people. So do most bills. And we see those in motion, or we might see, as conspiracy theorists, plans in motion that are secret. And so you want to tell people about it. But obviously, if it's secret, not many people are. I don't know. It's
Well,
like
it's kind of it's like
you have to start at
catch-22.
square one with some people for
Right.
them
Well,
to understand where
I think that's my
you're
point.
at.
Is you have to at some point you have to. Oh, I'm getting that feedback.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think at some point you do have to come to square one, and I think that square one is a fabrication. I think it's square one you have to create a starting point. Every race has a start kind of thing, and
Well, I think it's just finding common ground on what you already agree about. I think that's
that's
where
wrong.
with
That's
most
the
people.
confirmation bias. It's you're more apt to just take it in and get the spin, not like manipulated, but you agree with it. So it's like you go looking for something, you'll find it, kind of thing.
No, I don't think so. I think it's more like, at least maybe this is not the square one I'm going after. Finding similarities in things that you see regarding your worldview already. I mean, most people acknowledge that Washington, D.C. is completely corrupt, and so they're doing these backroom deals. And yet, when you say that someone's favorite presidential candidate is doing crooked things behind closed doors, for some reason they reject it. Like, people divide their consciousness in weird ways. They know Washington's completely corrupt. They know conspiracies exist. I mean, there's a freaking, a charge you can get from the police. Like, they could charge you with conspiracy. Like, it's a real thing, obviously. And then they block it out of their mind, like it doesn't happen. But I think finding more acknowledgments in the person's mind that, or rather, they can acknowledge more in their mind that they notice this kind of corruption, that kind of corruption. If it's just brought to the forefront more, and you challenge, their view that their political candidates are pure as the driven snow with what they know of the truth.
The German snow.
Was that a good one?
That's
I come up
good.
with I reach back into the 1800s for
That's
all
like
of
a
my.
good. It's a double joke, or a double not joke, but it's kind of like like, let's go. Oh wait, I get it.
Oh shoot. Dropping my
Yeah,
phone.
I think for me what it was, I've never blindly following anybody isn't something I'm really good at. So it's not like I wouldn't really naturally fall into that. I think
Sure.
what happens is that I've always been the root for the underdog guy, if the guy who's getting picked on by the big guy. Um, you know, I always root for that guy getting picked on. So I think that as a nation, that might have happened with with Obama, where it's like literally the day that he was inaugurated. Um, you had the large majority of the GOP saying, "Nope, we're going to do everything we can to make this not work," and it's
Mhm.
like I can't stand the 100% evil side either, where people are just like, oh, it's Obama, whatever, like fuck that guy, like it's like there's people take that 100% evil, and because of a couple things that they believe or that they acknowledge, or people who ended up actually feeling the effect of the change.
Well,
But I think this whole 100% one way or the other, it causes people to kind of
this is
rally around and go, okay, well, whatever you
Ow.
say, it might be true, but I'm not gonna get it from you, kind of thing, because I already know that, like Hillary Clinton, people just love to hate her. It's,
Wow. I mean, she's a criminal. She is a criminal.
well, then try her for something. I think that's the point. It's like if
See, that's the thing. As just a regular Joe Schmo, I don't have any legal standing to do
Right.
anything and
and
challenge.
that's why shooting
It
for
takes
the
these
end.
other politicians.
That's
And
why
what
the
the
end
problem
is not worth it.
is they're in cahoots or they're afraid of each other, so they don't do anything against each other. Like,
Well, that's what I mean.
they all
Though, is
have
like,
dirt on
if
each other,
you
so they
if you
don't
can't do
prosecute each other.
anything, you
What's
acknowledge
that?
that you acknowledge this huge thing exists, and you can't do anything about it as you, the Joe Schmo.
Right.
So why are you focused on the end, that this thing you can't control about anyway? Why not focus on your end, like your own personal end? It just
I do.
it just seems to it starts from like you're already at the tipping point. There's no like buffer, so it's like any amount of, hey, gun control. Oh, everyone falls over and like, oh man, he's talking about gun control again. And the Tim DeLay or whatever was talking about an impeachment process and actually starting that going, and it's like everyone's like, he's gonna come get our guns, and he hasn't done anything. Like I don't know.
Well, a lot of that comes from just the things he said. He says he wants to get rid of guns, essentially. Not
He
all
hasn't
guns,
been
because he
in
says it's...
office for
No,
8
he has.
years.
He has.
hasn't-
He
hasn't done
only says
anything.
hunting... No, he only says guns are good for hunting and crap like that, honestly. And, maybe get a shotgun. Or actually, it was Biden that said
That's
that.
fine.
if you want to protect yourself,
Let him
get a
say whatever
shotgun
he
to protect
wants,
your house.
but he hasn't done anything. Like, it's about action.
Well,
So
see,
it's
that's what other people are saying that is not true. They see some of these events where there have been shootings, and they think they're psyops.
well, okay. Well, then that's again. I'm immediately. Is that is this where I turn off? Yeah, I can't. It doesn't, because it's just like there's a certain amount that you have, like.
You have to accept the
There's too many
fact
people. There's too many.
that
There's
people
too much
have
connection of
goals.
information. Like
There
information
are-
moves around too fast. To say things that are like, well, this is a false flag. This didn't even happen. That you have to believe something in there. Like there's something in there where you have to believe.
Absolutely.
why
If
you
you
cannot
analyze
turn
it, you have to know that some of these events were, at the very least, planned, and partially by people that also had their tentacles in the media, because and the government. Because there's cover-ups all
I
the
think
time.
you can't even have a dick pic out there without someone getting a hold of it. I mean,
And that's not true.
so-
That is not true.
I mean, there's so many like WikiLeaks and there's so many outlets
still
that
exist.
There's
Ghosts exist. And I'm not talking about spooky ghosts. I'm talking about spy ghosts. There are people that are government hires, and I know I have met some that do not have any record of their existence. Maybe a picture here and there, but
we have
their record has been wiped. And why? So they can get away with a lot more. Like, if they have that for spies overseas doing missions and stuff, so if they get captured, there's no trace of them. Why wouldn't they also do it with people in the media?
But that's where you have
Have
to
actors, because the media, as everybody knows, is extremely powerful. You have so much power over people's minds if you have the media, and you could garner support for whatever you want if you have the media, but then you also need a story. So sometimes you can't just wait for a story to come along so you could exploit it. You have to create your own. And I think that is what does happen. Some people
I
are
saw
so
Wag the
crooked that
Dog.
they will do that.
Wag the Dog. You ever see? It's a 19.
Yeah.
Where with what's his name? The guy who was in Tootsie.
Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't deny that these things have. I don't deny Columbia was that funded the CIA. I don't deny that our the darker shades of our government.
But see, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Those dark shades, once you acknowledge that they exist, you have to acknowledge that they're doing something. I mean, the CIA and FBI aren't there just to
You're
patty
saying
cake.
because this
They have a job
everything
to
else.
conspire.
I think it's more of a jump to conclusion.
No, really, the CIA and intelligence agencies in general, they have a job, and it is to do things in secret, to conspire with one another. If they don't, I mean, they have to be doing something other than just sitting around and being like, picking up chicks, I'm a spy. They're doing something.
I wouldn't make myself the expert on shadow organizations that I don't understand, nor can I observe, nor can I affect. I just that's great. They're there, they exist, and I don't believe that just because they exist, they're always in everything. That to me that would drive that's like it's almost mental.
Well, I mean, the NSA is gathering all of our information.
Sure, so is
They're
Facebook.
making models
Facebook
of each of it.
I mean, I'm sure that Facebook makes money off of it. I mean, that's kind of my point, is that it's we use Facebook, we freely give them the information. We use Google, we're freely giving them information, and
there's more information than that. There's more information than that, though. I mean, you got to think, the NSA has so much information. Why is there any organized crime in the United States, other than maybe high-tech people?
My response to that is
they know who's doing what. What's that?
My response to that would be the same response that I would of not like my support of the gun lobby, but the understanding of that side, where they say that people always say, well, you'll have no chance against the military anyway. So if you need guns, you're not going to fight them. And then then the response to that, someone commented this on a post I read. The response to that is look how well we do in the Middle East with insurgents. We don't do very well. We do what we do. I'm not.
No,
I'm
they
not
can fight back. We lose
that.
people. We lose people against them because they do have some.
Just imagine a 350 million population Middle East, and I think that, but then that's where again I divide it. It's like, okay, well, there's enough people that are a part of the civilian population where it would eventually it would be kind of like a post-apocalyptic movie. There'd be factions and areas that people control, and Jericho is this is a TV show that got canceled like halfway through.
I like that show.
Yeah, it was a great show, and it was very similar to that, where they had the new capital was in Texas somewhere. I think that's how it kind of ended, and there's how not the series ended. They just kind of rushed it, and the idea it's kind of like Walking Dead, where they find other people and they go and talk to other people, and some people are dangerous and other people are clueless and so on. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, planning.
The problem with
for that
conspiracy
seems to
theories
be-
is everybody has their own theory.
Right.
And and another thing is there's so much disinformation and so much poor reporting and so many people that just don't know how to read a whole news article. They read the first 2 paragraphs of a news article and don't scroll any further, and that automatically turns into a conspiracy theory because things don't add up, but they would add up if they just read more. And so, there's a lot of stupid conspiracy theories that aren't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. is frustrating, but I can deal with it. Like, I can get on with my life and do things as I do them.
Yeah, you're functional.
Go
I'm
to
not
work
worried
and
about
stuff.
you.
What?
I said you're functional. I'm not really worried about you.
Yeah, I'm
You're
functional.
not peeing in jars and putting it
But
around the room.
it is maddening for most people. And I was just thinking today that I need to stop. Just stop. If people want to ask me what I think about something, then I'll tell them. But otherwise, maybe I'm just going to stop posting stuff because it doesn't help. It overloads other people. Like, I am not the people that are reading my stuff, and I need to realize that more. Like, I don't know. Other people can't handle it, or they just think I'm a joke, or they don't. I'm not doing myself any services. I might be waking one or two people up, as I would see it. But I don't even know if it's worth it. I mean, like you said, what are we actually going to do?
Yeah, and I guess I also at the same time I don't want to just say, well, I'm just now going to be ignorant of it. I do say I don't care very often, and I think there's certain tiers of, there's things I'm aware of, and then there's tiers above that I hit a limit where I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. Well, I haven't even got to this level yet, so I don't really want to care about that. And so, schedule and life is all. It's all about planning. I've got to building websites after this, which I actually need to get back to in a little bit. I'm going to be building sites. It's what I do. I love doing it. So yeah, there you go. So let's bring some purpose to this Untitled Personal Podcast project after hours. What's the action you're going to take this week? It's Monday. This is actually why this is part of this thing. I want to do video regularly, and so I was like, I'm going to do something this morning, and then I got really busy, and so now I'm doing it at night. So that's what I'm doing this week, is I'm going to try to do more frequent video.
Cool.
What are you going to do? What's your action for the week? Would be impressive to our audience viewers.
For my own personal life, no conspiracy, or political involvement, even though I've been thinking about doing something like that. But I'm just going to sell some stuff on eBay. I have some really nice art, so I'm going to put it up on eBay, and I have a really cool ring, like a gold ring. I'm going to sell
that's right.
it.
So you are tell the viewer that we have. So you basically do the TV show Storage Wars, right? Like you go out and
I go
you
out
find
and
all
do
this stuff, and you got this inventory. And do you have a place to get the inventory yet? Is there like a place that people can go? You had a group for a little bit, or do you where are you gonna sell it? Do you just eBay and locally, or?
Yeah, I've been mainly doing Craigslist and then yard sales here and there, and then just keeping the stuff that I like, the cool stuff that I like.
What kind of stuff do you have?
Yeah, I need to branch. Oh, and I've also been doing Amazon, thanks to you.
Hey,
you told
Amazon
me about
is awesome.
Amazon Fulfilled by Amazon thing, and so I'm doing that. All I do is, I got a unit with a bunch of books, and so I just stuffed them all into a few boxes, sent it out to Amazon, and it sits in their warehouse. They warehouse it for you, and then they ship it when it sells. So I don't have to really do anything except for make my original inventory. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna go into eBay and
Right on.
No other plans except for fishing and hunting lobster.
That's right. You're that salty guy sitting on the pier in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I'm one of those weirdos now.
Well, cool. I'm glad you're one of those weirdos.
Yeah, you want to go with me? You want to go get some lobster, fish?
Get some lobster. That sounds like you end up getting wet or something and smelling like fish, and it also requires you going outside.
True.
I will take you up on that. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Well, this is After Hours. This is the Untitled Personal Podcast Project. After Hours, episode number 1. Be sure to tune in on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. when we do a little bit more of this nonsense. It's a little bit more organized, and we're a lot less tired and or just feeling the day. So with that, thanks, Matt, for joining us this morning. And I will, I'll see you later, or I'll see you at another time.
Later.